We've got Commissioner Mike Clements on the repatriation of bodies off White Island.
Ryan McKinstry from New Zealand Defence Forces, who will speak to this morning's operation on the recovery on Whakaari, White Island. So we'll take questions at the end. So at this point, I'd like to invite Mayor Judy Turn up.
Good afternoon. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the weight of the situation that we've all been facing in the past week. In particular, I wish to acknowledge all the families of those who have experienced loss, those who are injured, and their loved ones. And I'd like to express the collective relief and the gratitude on behalf of our community in hearing that 6 bodies have been recovered from Whakaari today. My heartfelt thanks goes to all those who have played a part in this important mission, and I would like to thank Ngāti Awa for their leadership and guidance in enabling these processes to embrace tikanga Māori. Let us continue to stand together in support of one another, and let us show one another love and kindness as these efforts continue and we navigate these challenging times together. I'll now pass on to the Commissioner.
Kia ora koutou whānau, ngā mihi te iwi o Ngāti Awa, kia ora koutou. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge everybody that's been involved in today's operation to recover and return 6 loved ones to their whānau. This entire event has been a traumatic and harrowing event for the community of Whakatane, but particularly for the friends, family, whānau of those directly affected. Today, New Zealand Defence Force and police and other emergency services were able to recover those 6 people and return them to their loved ones. The operation today went to plan, and I would like to recognise the expertise of the New Zealand Defence Force staff who, supported by New Zealand Police staff and other emergency services staff, completed today's mission. But it's not over yet. The operation was not without risk. And thanks to the sound planning and the expertise of all staff involved, again, it went to plan. The environment that those staff encountered was unpredictable, challenging, and those staff showed absolute courage in order to ensure that those 6 people were returned to their loved ones. Unfortunately, there remains 2 more people that we need to find so we can also return them. So this operation will continue. We will, and we are this afternoon, returning with an aerial search of Whakaari to see if we can identify anyone else on the island, and we are also right now deploying our dive team to search the surrounding waters. We will continue to search for these 2 people. I want to thank everyone for their focus, everyone for their support, and again, everyone who was involved today for their courage in order to ensure that these 6 people were returned to their loved ones. I'll be available later for questions. Kia ora. I would like, if I could, to introduce Colonel Ryan McKinstry, who is one of the senior defence officers on site today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We in the New Zealand Defence Force are united in our grief for those who have been killed, injured and traumatised by the tragic events on Whakaari, White Island. And our thoughts are with the victims and their whānau and families. We acknowledge the spiritual and cultural significance of this event and the imperative to at all times treat the deceased and the location with dignity and respect. We acknowledge the leadership of the New Zealand Police and other agencies involved in recovery operations to date, and as well as the heroic efforts of the medical staff across New Zealand treating the survivors. We cannot downplay the risk involved in this operation, and I want to acknowledge the efforts of all of those who have placed themselves in dangerous places today to achieve some resolution for the families and the community. In particular, I want to acknowledge those members of the New Zealand Defence Force who conducted body recovery actions today in close proximity from the ground, the sea and the air of Whakaari, White Island. The conditions and terrain on the island were difficult, and given the potential for another eruption, we had planned on how we could recover the 6 identified deceased while minimising our time on the island due to the assessed risks in carrying out this operation. And we do acknowledge that the recovery operation is ongoing, and we will continue to work with the New Zealand Police and provide our support. It is important for all to understand that behind the plan that was put in effect today lies a broad range of New Zealand Defence Force capabilities and teams of personnel who ensure our people are well prepared to go into dangerous places in support of their community and our nation. And this has ranged from personnel who specialise in imagery analysis to those operating our military assets and those who went into the island today. And over the past week, this support has included C-130 air transport aircraft, King Air air transport aircraft, a P-3 airborne surveillance aircraft, NH-90 helicopters providing rotary wing support, which included patient transfer on Monday. And we want to acknowledge also their crews and the ground support staff from the Royal New Zealand Air Force. From our Royal New Zealand Navy, on scene has been the HMNZS Wellington, her rigid hull inflatable boats, an embarked SH-2G Sea Sprite helicopter and a second helicopter from Auckland. This helicopter provided rotary wing support and surveillance of the island, and also their respective crews and support staff from the Royal New Zealand Navy. From our Army, today personnel from our Explosive Ordnance Disposal Squadron with their specialist hazardous material equipment and training. Also from the Army, Mortuary Affairs and Disaster Victim Identification teams have been assisting our civil authorities here in Whakatane and in Auckland. We've also had personnel from our deployable Joint Interagency Task Force who have performed command and control functions in support of these recovery efforts. For those members of the New Zealand Defence Force, they serve with a sense of duty and a sense of pride in being able to help our fellow New Zealanders and the citizens of the world. We'll do this when our specialist skills are needed. It should not be forgotten that when they join the New Zealand Defence Force, they do so knowing that they could be required to be placed in harm's way when New Zealand requires it. Thank you.